So we're back in full effect. It's this is a holiday week in New York. I know this is coming at you on Sunday, December 1st, but
first of the month.
Thanksgiving is in 2 days, and
it just passed.
I'm saying from when we're recording.
Okay, copy.
Thanksgiving is in 2 days. We're recording this 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It's coming at you Sunday.
Yep.
The city is a buzz.
Yep.
It just took me an hour and 25 minutes to get to the studio, of which it normally, with no traffic, it would take me 25 minutes. With traffic, 40 minutes, maybe 45.
Yeah.
And it took me about an hour and 25 because the city is, I guess everyone's getting out of town.
That's a fact.
It's weird that I think Thanksgiving is like the most traveled holiday.
I think so.
Most people travel more on Thanksgiving than they do
Christmas.
on Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
I'm on the road this weekend. I'm doing Thanksgiving at home, and then I'm going to Phoenix this weekend. This will be, by the time this comes out, it'll be done. By the time this comes out, I'll actually be on stage in Phoenix because I have a show Sunday night.
Oh, cool. Shout out to Arizona.
Then I'm getting on a red eye and flying back. What are your Thanksgiving plans?
We're actually not cooking this year. We're going to a restaurant, me and the fam. When this comes out, we have already gone to the restaurant. But yeah, we're keeping it low key. Thanksgiving is actually one of those holidays that's kind of gotten tricky. My uncle passed a couple of years ago, right before Thanksgiving, and then actually,
this is your mom's brother?
Yeah, and then actually, my uncle, I guess my uncle's dad passed literally last night. So
your granduncle?
Yeah, my granduncle last night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
How old was he?
He was 82, but he was very sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like it's a tricky holiday. It's gone from being one of my favorite holidays as a reformed fat boy to like have a feel, emotional.
Yeah, I think it's important though, because a couple years ago, I lost my mom literally a month out before the holidays.
Yeah.
And she was a big holiday person, big Thanksgiving, big Christmas.
Yeah.
All the family holidays. I think it's important to not let like stuff like that cloud what the holiday season is supposed to mean amongst. It's so easy to get down on times like this. But if you can help it, I think it's important to like continue to keep the thing on. Because honestly, if you really think about it, I feel like, God forbid, if I were to die before Thanksgiving, I wouldn't want nobody to stop Thanksgiving. I would want you to continue to enjoy, continue to do the things that you did. All right. I remember Nipsey Hussle in one of the in one of his songs before he passed, he had a song where he was talking about one of his friends passed, and he was saying how sad he was when he passed. But then he was like, "But I know if you was here, you would tell me keep going, like, keep doing pushing the things. Like we not gonna stop now." So I think that's generally the mentality of people. I don't think you run into people that'll be like, "Yo, now when I die, I want it to stop. I want it to
everything ceases."
Yeah, no more fun. No more fun.
At least for a day.
Yeah, so I think it's important to keep the holiday thing. And I mean, for me, as like now, the holidays won't be the same for me, obviously, without my mom.
Yeah.
But I look forward to, in the future, maybe having a thing where I can build that for like my kids, if I have kids, if I have children, and I can make it something that is about them. It's never going to be about me how it was when I, growing up and when she was around, but you feel you can make it up for somebody else. And I think it's supposed to be about other people anyway. I don't think it's supposed to be about you.
I think you are a philosopher because I think you're 100% right. It ain't really about you, you know? And then like you said, it's honestly about the kids, for them to, if you have kids, or like if you have kids in your family, younger.
And I of course, I think if you have kids, it's about the kids. But even if it's not, even without the kids, it's about just everyone. Like it's about jolliness with everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like about like we spend a whole year fighting and a whole year, and there's wars and there's political debates and everyone is hating everyone and all this, and this is a time
beefs.
Yeah, and this is a time where I think we should all just like, be nice to each other. Even in New York, like you could feel the holiday season in New York, you could feel the vibe. New York get a little nicer.
I feel like that's 100% true because they put up the lights, and then also like when it's cold outside, like that feels like we grew up in New York, so that feels like the holidays, right? They put up the lights, the trees, it gets dark early. Like, oh, speaking about that, this is a random question, a random tangent, but it kind of applies. Is coquito like a national Latin thing, like an international Latin thing, or is that specific to certain regions?
I believe coquito was originated, and I could be wrong, but I think the Puerto Ricans, they
started that?
Yeah, they have it on lock. I think
Trademark?
that's their thing. But I think other people, that's a good thing about like Latino, Hispanic culture. You kind of could just steal from each other. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like make it your own.
Okay.
But I think the Puerto Ricans, they have it locked down. Like this is
that's
their
them.
thing. Yeah.
I did a Puerto Rican wedding on Thursday. I didn't know that there's
on Thursday, and it's over already. It's only Tuesday.
Last Thursday.
Oh, two Thursdays.
Yeah, 2 Thursdays ago.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know there's a Puerto Rican what is it? A Puerto Rican electric slide.
Yeah,
I just learned. What's his name? Mark Anthony. I can't remember the name of the song, but I put it on as like the Puerto Rican national anthem, and they was doing I said, hold on.
Yeah.
In all my life.
Yeah.
But, coquito, you know, that's big in the city. It's cold. You want something cold. And it's festive.
I actually decided, speaking of festive, earlier this week that for the first time since the passing of my mom, I'm actually gonna decorate my apartment for Christmas.
Wow.
Like I'm gonna get it in the holiday spirit. And I live alone, so it's just me. It's tough to motivate yourself to do it when it's just you.
That's a fact.
But I'm like, look, you can't just let, the holidays come and go. They're supposed to be, I think we get carried away and make it about a lot of different stuff, but it's supposed to be about, what it's supposed to be is positive. So I'm trying to like stop overlooking it and just letting it go. So I'm gonna go to a Christmas store and buy a bunch of decorations.
Are you gonna get a tree and everything?
I don't know if I'm gonna do the tree. The tree's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. If you're gonna go, you gotta go.
If I had kids or even somebody who lived with me, I would think to get the trees. But I think I'm gonna get like a couple things, like a couple things you hang up, maybe like some lights, make it festive, make it something different.
Are you gonna put a wreath on the door?
Yeah, maybe I'll put a wreath. Maybe I'll put like a Christmas Santa welcome mat.
You're gonna go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some things.
You gotta throw it on the IG, man. I don't think people are gonna believe it until they see it.
Sometimes you gotta force yourself to get festive in the moment. Yeah, to get in, because it's so easy to allow yourself to be like, humbug.
Is that like Christmas Blue Chew?
How so?
Forcing you to get into the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that you got to, man. You have to take erectile dysfunction drugs for Christmas. Yeah. I think that is the only way, because it's hard for you to get up on your own. Make it when life happens.
That's it.
And life will continue to happen. Some people probably listening to this podcast right now, and the holidays is just like some fun, all love, get together with family. And to those people, I say congrats. That's great. I've been there. I've been one of those people. For years, the holidays was just like the best moment ever, because it was just a family thing. We would get together, we would party, we would drink. It would just be, where's the thing? But life doesn't continue like that. So if you're listening right now and you still have that, enjoy. And if you're listening and you don't have that, I think take solace in the fact that you can rebuild it.
You can.
The dynamic is not going to be the same. Obviously, you lose somebody like a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt, or somebody who used to make the holidays what they were. It's not going to be that same dynamic, but that doesn't mean that is the end. You can recreate it. You can recreate it for other people. You can recreate tradition. You can start over, and it might be a couple years where it's shaky, but if you don't give up, I think you could continue to do the things.
Are you releasing a book when your special comes out too? Because I feel motivated.
No, yeah. I came in, I saw all the lights. There's a Christmas tree downstairs, and I've learned that the holidays is not the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people are lucky and they've only experienced the joy of it, of the happiness that comes with the gifts and family and all that good stuff, eating and drinking. And some people, have been through some stuff. And I remember one time I was, this was like probably like 2016, 2017. It was a couple years before COVID. I was doing some Christmas shopping, and I ran into a store to buy a gift for, I forgot who I was buying a gift for or whatever. But at the Christmas, I think I was buying a gift for my mom actually, but because her birthday is actually 2 days before Christmas. So it's really? A lot. Yeah. Okay. On the 23rd. So I walked into the store, and there was this lady in the store, and she was kind of being, she was one of these ladies where, when you see somebody and you don't know if they're crazy because they're giving a little crazy, but they also like they're dressed, so you're like maybe they're not crazy. Like they dress like they have a job or something. So you're like maybe they're not crazy. So she's in the store, like it's a small store. I think it was a T-Mobile store. I think I was getting my mom a phone or something. And she was like, you know, being loud or whatever. And then she comes over to me and she says something to me, and I forgot what it was at the time. But I remember I said to her, I said Merry Christmas to her. And when I said that, she got like very emotional. She was like, no, don't tell me Merry Christmas. She was like, I can't do the holidays no more. Like, I can't do the holiday. She was like, I was such a Christmas person before, but I've lost everyone. Like, I have nobody anymore. Damn. Yeah, and it was very sad. And I remember leaving the store thinking like, that's sad. You know, I felt bad. Yeah. But then at that time in my life, I was like, you know, I felt bad, but I was like, you know, that ain't me though. I got my whole family and we about to turn up.
Live it up.
Yeah, so, you know, but that stuck with me. I always remembered that because it was always in the back of my head like, damn, that is a thing for people where like the holidays
is hard.
Yeah, the trauma that the holidays brings is hard for them to deal with.
That's a fact.
And now, obviously, years later, losing the matriarch of the family, I get it now. Like, I get what she was talking about. Yeah. But you gotta fight it. You can't allow yourself to fall into the hole of depression during these times. So turn on the music, turn on the Adulthood podcast. We gonna get you through it, baby. That's why we here.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you gotta surround yourself around those people who you might not surround yourself during the year, because, you know, someone who's too positive all the time, I think they might be on some kind of, you know, external drugs.
Sure.
But
love external drugs.
At the same time, too, if you know you're in like a little bit of a dark area, you kind of want to be around those people. Like I think I was talking to my girl earlier, and she was saying that, like, you know, those people, like, case in point, someone who's made to work at a library where they're just so helpful and they're so happy. They're like, hey, do you know what? The bathroom is on the 3rd floor. Here's the code for the bathroom. And then there's a water fountain.
I hooked up with a librarian once.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Tangent.
Yeah.
How did she read you anything?
No, she didn't. She looked a little nerdy. She was a young one though.
Okay. Oh, she was younger librarian. Okay. Did she take?
I'm sorry for interrupting.
It's okay.
That's
it's okay.
Story. That's it.
She didn't take you to the stack section?
No, she was. I actually met her out, and then she was telling me, she was just like, you know, I'm a librarian, and I thought.
Wait, the country?
No, I met her like out, like at a like in New York, and and then she told me she was a librarian, and I was like, I thought it was kind of like librarian, like that's not a real job, like that's for like movies and pornos. But then she was like, no, like, and I'm like, what do you do? Like, you just put the books in the thing? And she was like, yeah, it's a little more than that. But so I'm like, so you just know books? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I'm a librarian too. I got, you know, Audible on my iPad. So I got the books too. But that was fun. She was a young one. Yeah. She was a young librarian in that she was in her 20s.
But what was her energy like? Was she positive? Like, was she like just cheerful?
Yeah, she was positive. Yeah, she had a positive disposition.
I feel like that's the type of person that usually works in that role. And like, those are the type of people you need to be around if you're in like a little bit of a funk, you know, because they pull your spirits up.
Yeah. What kind of person you think you are? I would say you're positive.
I think I'm like transitioning, not that kind of transitioning, but transitioning more.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong, but like more like the type to like, you know, be a little bit frustrated. You know, I feel like once you reach a certain age, a certain level of clarity, you're just in a bad mood a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there maybe 60% of the time now just because of
60% bad mood.
Yeah, 60% bad mood. But it's transitioning, again, like I said, transitioning. I used to be like more of an 80-20 person. Like the type of person where if I'm upset, then something really bad is
I don't know you. I don't know you to be an upset guy.
Yeah.
But you know what's the good thing about people like this?
What's that?
The good thing about people who aren't upset, like the 80-20 people who are positive 80% of the time, when they get upset, everyone knows they mean business. And that is nice.
Yeah.
The other people who are always upset, you walk in, you're angry, they're like, yo, he's angry, who cares?
Who cares?
But the people who are always happy and positive, when they get upset, people's like, somebody might get murdered.
What happened?
Yeah, this is serious.
Who do we have to call?
And that's nice because people take you seriously. It's nice to be taken seriously when you're angry.
But then at the same time too, because of that 80-20 split, it's also then you have everybody asking you, yo, what's wrong? What's wrong? And you kind of just want to like be to yourself. You know, you don't want to give the whole exposition of like, I had explosive diarrhea and then I ran out of the wipes and then, I couldn't take a shower because they turned the water off. You don't want to give the whole story. You know
of course. Yeah, no, you never want to let people know what happened in your bathroom. But I think that happens to me a lot as a comedian and entertainer. People just expect you to be...
They expect you to be 80-20.
The whole time. So people expect me to get off stage and be like...
That's the clip.
And then when I get off stage and I'm like, yeah, what's up? They're like, whoa.
Mr. Cranky
Did you just lose a parent? And I'm like, yes, actually. And they're like, good one. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here.
Oh, man.
This is too much. This is why I don't talk to people.
Mr. Cranky Pants?
Yeah, this is why I don't talk to people. Just expect you to be crazy.
Johan, can you clip that, whatever that was? And that's going to be our Christmas card from the Adulthood Pod. That's going to be our Christmas gift.
That's literally what people expect. I was on the road. I was on the road this weekend. I was in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Shout out.
Yeah.
See Homer?
Good shows. I was at Roar Comedy Club. We did some good shows out there. Shout out to all the people that came. Had a couple of adulterers come out.
Shout out to the adulterers. I had one guy. I didn't get his name. I forgot to get his name, but I took a photo with him, and he told me that he was an adulterer. And I said, how did you find us or whatever? And he said that he saw a clip that he thought was funny, and then he went back and started listening, and then he caught up and listened to all the episodes. So shout out to him. Shout out to him. That's what's up.
For the people that do this, can y'all give, like, if we can ask for one gift during this holiday season to the Adulthood Podcast, the people that do this for you for free every week and give you this free entertainment and don't ask anything of you
for 2 years,
can you just please just tell people to listen to the podcast?
Yeah.
Like, tell people that this is something that you listen to on Monday mornings when you're going to work, or, Saturday night when you can't get an erection and your wife kicks you out the room, or, when you're at the hospital and you're about to do a surgery, or when you're, supposed to be teaching class, but you don't believe in kids or the future.
I hope it's not like a life-saving surgery, because you will laugh, and I don't want you to put the scalpel somewhere it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, one of our biggest demographic of listeners is nurses.
Yeah, we're big in the nurse community.
The nurses love the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, tell people that you enjoy the Adulthood Podcast. Tell them to give it a listen. Tell them your favorite episode. Pick your favorite episode. Tell them to listen to that one. Hey, what's up, Adulterers? Real quick, I just want to promote a couple shows. I got a couple dates left for the new year. This is coming out on December 1st. So this weekend, actually, I'm taking this weekend off. I'll be in New York City this weekend, but next weekend I'll be at the Punchline in Philadelphia, the 12th to the 14th. So check me out. Punchline Philly, 12th to the 14th. Get your tickets. Shout out to the Adulterers. Real quick, right now, I just have tickets left to the 6 p.m. show for my special taping. That'll be on December 21st at 6 p.m. at LPR in New York, Le Paysan Rouge. Only tickets for the first show. So get your tickets before they sell out. Once they sell out, there's nothing I could do. Thank you guys who've purchased tickets already. Thank you. I can't wait till you guys come see the show. Love you, Adulterers. Peace.
Should we do like, how everybody does merch? Should we do like adulthood scrubs?
Oh, for the nurses?
Yeah, for the nurses.
That is something that we should consider. That, right? We do adulthood scrubs. Although I think if you walked in and you walked into like a hospital or a doctor's office and the nurse or doctor came in with scrubs with our faces on it, I think you probably would be like, maybe I want to go to another doctor or another medical establishment.
Unless you were an adulterer.
Yeah, unless you are an adulterer.
I trust this person with my life.
Right.
Speaking about scrubs, this is random, but like, have you seen there's been like a whole redesign of scrubs? Since we're big in the nurse community, the medical community, the hospital community. But
they got new scrubs?
Bro, they got scrubs that are like dry fit.
It's tight scrubs?
It's tight scrubs. It's cuffed on the bottom.
Oh, no, I have not seen this.
It's a whole redesign. It's not the scrubs from the 90s or the 2000s. This
is for women, right?
Both.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tight scrubs.
Like scrubs where it's just like, are you in a hospital or are you going out?
I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think women in scrubs are very attractive. I think that's a very attractive
highly attractive.
Scrubs.
And if you might have taken one or too many of your performance enhancing drugs, dick pills, they can resuscitate you.
Yeah, I think I see women in scrubs, and I don't know, I don't want this to sound wrong, but I see women in scrubs, and I just imagine that they're freaks.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, we touched upon this before.
Did we?
Yeah.
Like sexually?
Yeah.
Yeah. I that's just a thought that goes to my head. And I don't know, because I dated a nurse before. I don't know if that's what it is, but yeah, I see that. Yeah. I see that when I see them.
Yeah.
I don't like, I'm not weird about it, but it's just what I think.
It's just what you see.
Yeah. It's what I think.
Is it like when they see you?
Well, I think it's because they deal with a lot of like bad stuff when you're a nurse, right? You gotta like clean up a lot of gross stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that, then I just imagine you're okay with stuff sexually.
And they're like desensitized to a lot of things that we're like, whoa, I couldn't have, like, what they see on a daily basis versus like the one time I was in there, I'm like, this is crazy. But they're like,
no, that's what I mean.
I got a cheese sandwich for lunch.
I think it's hard to get them to find something disgusting.
Okay.
Due to what they do for work.
Yeah, they have a wide range.
Yeah. Okay. What'd you get into this weekend?
This weekend, so I was DJing. I DJed at Miss Lily's. Shout out to Miss Lily's. I was at Miss Lily's last Friday, and then I did a private event on Saturday. The private events, man, they've been going good.
This is private event season.
It is. It really is. And I don't know if you remember, but I kind of was like in a little bit of a funk where I couldn't grab them. Like I had 2 parties. I had a back-to-back private event day. And I felt like I bombed both of them, bro. Like whatever I was playing just wasn't hitting. And I was playing it. It was just sometimes, you can't connect with the crowd. So from that.
But let me ask you this.
Talk to me.
I feel like some parties, because I've been at these parties before, some parties I feel like you're not meant to connect with the people. Like some parties are not meant to be turned up. Especially like private events. Like a lot of the private events that I go to, like the DJ has no shot. Like, I don't care who you get. You just have no shot because it's not like, especially when I go to industry events. Yeah. It's not meant for you to have fun.
It's more background.
So you're fighting an uphill battle. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you play. You're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah. And that definitely is the case, but then it's just a personal thing too, where it's just like, man, like, damn, nothing connected. Like I didn't get a head bob or nothing. So like that was one of those things where it's just like, all right, back to the drawing board. And like, these last couple of events, it was like, all right, I'm back to my regular form where, it's almost like a ball player where you have an off night, like Steph Curry he gets 16 points. It's just like, hold on. So he's back in the gym. And then the next 2 nights he's going for 40. Yeah. So this last weekend I went for 40. Like I knocked him over the head.
Good. Yeah. Comedy is that way in that some shows you're just not meant to get them. It's not created for you to do well, bro. Which is tough because with music you're playing songs. With comedy, like you're speaking. So when everyone's like ignoring you or not paying attention at all or like talking, it feels inherently rude and disrespectful because you're talking. Yeah. I don't think a DJ feels rude if they're talking over the music.
I mean,
like if people are having small conversations over the music.
No, not really. But the thing is too, is just like for 4 hours, it's just like, you could have just put on an iPod.
DJs DJ for 4 hours?
Yeah, 4 hours.
That's a long time.
You could have put on an iPod or something then.
That's does a DJ, like, could you play one of yours, or I don't know if you have done this or do other DJs, like if they got like a preset mix so it's just going, but it looks like they're doing stuff?
Bro, I used to not like that, but sometimes I do. Especially like if it's very slow in a place, and then I'll put it on for like the first hour until it builds up and then I'll jump on.
I think that's good because I don't want to walk into a party and no one is active, no one is dancing, no one is on the floor, and the DJ going mad hard. Because I feel like there's nowhere to go from here.
You're looking like a bozo.
You need to bring us. You need to bring us up.
Now, at the same time, too, and those, like, and because the opening set now, because everything feels almost like microwave, where it's just like all of the same, depending on where you're at, but all of the same songs are played at like the same kind of rotation. The opening set is where I get to be like the most creative, where I get to play songs that I haven't played in a long time, or if they're like brand new, so I could be like, oh, okay. And then also like where I could create remixes on the fly. I'm basically like DJing for the staff. Right. And seeing what's hitting and like, okay, all right. So like I know I got them. Like it's almost like I don't know if you use this term in comedy, but like I'm fishing. You know what I mean? Like I'm fishing. Oh, I got them. Yeah. And then I reel them in. You know what I mean?
In comedy, I guess fishing would be more like doing crowd work, like you're fishing in the audience. I think they call it minding. Okay. Like you're like minding the audience, trying to strike gold. Yeah. For like an audience who's like cheating on his wife, or who's committed a murder, or who's like, missing a leg. You want something interesting like that that's gonna bring everyone together. So you're like minding for jokes. But it's looked at, you should come with your own jokes.
Yeah, definitely.
That thing. We got some phone calls though, Johan. You wanna should we do the phone calls?
Hey, Adulthood Podcast. I want to actually thank you. This time last year, I was dealing with a lot of health stuff, and I was able to get that going, meaning like I invested in my health, my emotional well-being. Fast forward, now I'm able to complete like specific goals in my master's. I have a portfolio. I'm auditioning for that.
There you go.
I'm going to go abroad, get some certifications under my belt in the in-between transition time for the spring.
Thing.
With that, what do you do with friendships when you get that ick? Like these people that were in your life that were also negative and led with like that victim mindset. What do you do when they're no longer able to hold space for growth and expansion because they still are feeling sorry for themselves? It's not that they're like a crappy friend. It's more just like they're negative. And you were that negative person prior, right? I explained I had health stuff. And now that I'm happy and it took me a lot to get here, it's not that I want to get rid of the friendship. Just curious to see if you've ever experienced that when you're doing better for yourself. Thank you.
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
I have one question for her because she thanked us at first, but then she just listed off all her accomplishments, and I was just wondering how were we? Because I'll take responsibility for you getting your master's.
Hey man,
I just want to know how we did that.
I want to know if we get invited to the party. I like cake.
Yeah, maybe we were just motivational.
I think that's
maybe
what
we
it
just
is.
motivated her to do this. But this is a good point.
Laughter is medicine.
Because we preach a lot on bettering your life and becoming better people. And you know, most of our listeners, when they start off, they're losers. And then they listen to us for a couple of volumes, and then they find themselves getting their masters
and going abroad.
Right. So and being healthy all of a sudden.
Healthy and happy.
Just off listening to us. So so I think it's a good question because a lot of people who are listening to this probably hear the question and they're like, oh my God, I was a loser too, who used to be around losers, and I've outgrown them because they're still losers, but now I'm going to Europe. So what should I do? And this is not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good, but I believe that it's important to keep positive people around you.
Oh, yeah.
That's important.
That's very important.
It's hard to be positive when the people around you are negative. You're a positive guy. I've always known you to be positive. You're always like out at the gym doing something. Even if you don't say anything to me, when you get up, I remember when we used to work together, when you get up and you be like, I'm going to the gym, it makes me feel like I need to go to the gym. Even though you've never said anything to me, you never told me go to the gym, you never said I need to get in the gym. But when you surround yourself around people who do shit, it makes you want to do shit.
Are we giving flowers now? We giving flowers? Can I get an ISO? Can I get an ISO, Johan? Nah, we need a double shot because I got a point. Pause. I seen this man do 2 and 3 spots in between the break when we was doing the record. We was recording the app. We would go, the first show was at 6, right? We'd finish around like 7. And then we'd have until 9. So between that 2 hours, my man did 3 spots at 3 different comedy clubs. And then we came back and then we did another show. And then he was on the road. He's always on the road. So It's just like you said, it's not only just positive people. You got to have people that are like self-motivating because their self-motivation is just like, damn, I got to do more. Like, all right, I got to drop mixes. All right, I got to, you know what I mean? I got to
even if
tight.
It's not in your field at all.
You got to take what someone else is doing and apply it to yourself.
Apply it to yourself.
That's definitely number one. First of all, kudos to you for getting your master's and getting out of that funk. Because the thing is, too, is like a lot of people don't talk about it, but like there's parts, and you had an episode where you were just like, man, like when you almost had a breakdown.
Of course, that's part of it. That's part of the journey.
You got to be honest with yourself, and then you got to be like, all right, you know what? You got to give yourself space to go through it. You got to be kind to yourself, and then you got to get back on that track. But to you, specific advice is just like, you know what? Make sure they subscribe to the Adulthood podcast, because if it worked for you, it's gonna work for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not gonna sound good, but I honestly believe having negative people or people who are always down or people who are, always woe is me, it's like a cancer.
It really is.
It spreads.
It really is.
It spreads like a cancer.
It really is.
And it's easy for you if you look around all your friends and none of them are doing anything. It's easy for you to feel comfortable not doing anything either.
Yeah.
But vice versa, if all your friends are killing it, you're motivated. Like when you don't feel like going to the gym, You like, I gotta go to the gym. I think that's one of the benefits of Instagram, actually. I think social media is terrible for society and it has ruined us to a certain extent. But one of the positives is I go on my Instagram, I see all of my homegirls and some of my homeboys at the gym, and it motivates me to have to go to the gym.
I gotta go to the gym.
Yeah.
And not only just going to the gym, but it's also like, if we're talking about big picture things, and it's not about material things, but like you start seeing people, purchasing property, right? Mm-hmm. You start seeing people, like you just graduated, you got your master's, but you start seeing people like doing like things that are setting themselves up for longevity in life. Then it's just like, all right, like you have to have the conversation with yourself, like, what am I doing?
You ever see somebody, like this is a bit of a tangent, but you ever see somebody on Instagram like purchasing property or a car and you know them and you be like, I mean, you're stripping or selling cocaine because I know that there's no way you should be able to afford these purchases.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's motivational in itself.
That's motivational in itself. But then you also see the people like, shout out to my man, Brandon Brown from the Giants. Yeah. Brandon used to drag my ass to the library every Sunday when we was in Fordham because he already had the plan in his mind where he was just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go to law school. I know I want to work in football, but like, I got to take a different route. So he got his JD. Then he was just like, all right, I'm going to work in operations. Like he did the work and he set himself up. So it's just like, that's
he just fired their quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So it's just like, you gotta set yourself around people who like, don't intentionally motivate you, but they motivate you by their actions. And then with your friends who, like, if they're negative, like, it's okay to leave them where they're at. That's another thing too, where it's, at least for me, because like I am Mr. Friendly and like, I want everybody to have a good time because that comes from DJing, but it comes to a certain point where it's just like, you're holding me back. You're trying to block my light.
It is holding you back. It is what it is. This is why I am such a fan of Black excellence and Latino excellence and just like minorities in general who are killing it. And it's not a race thing at all because obviously I support all races who are doing well, but like when I went to Africa, when I went to Kenya, and even in the States, even when you in a town like DC or you in a town
Chocolate
like
City,
or you in a town like Atlanta,
A-town,
where you walk into a party and there's a lot of like it's still turned up. But then you speak to people and they're like, I'm a lawyer, I'm an engineer, I work for this TV channel, I work for this industry, I'm doing this. And it's just a bunch of like people succeeding at the top level. That's so motivating.
It is.
Those are the people I want to party with.
Bro.
I want to party with people who have to work on Monday and have a lot to lose.
Bro.
Those are the only people I want around me.
1000%.
I don't want the other people around me. At this point in my life, and I mean this respectfully. It's not saying that like we can't be friends or we can't be cordial. You just can't be involved in my everyday life because we don't have nothing in common anymore.
And to add to that, like sometimes you outgrow people, and like I've had to learn that myself, that like it's okay to outgrow people. It's not anything bad. They didn't do anything bad. But you have to be selfish about where your energy, like those people are energy drainers. Right. And you got to be real. I sound like one of the gurus, right? Like we are gurus. I know. I mean, Johan saged the office before we came in. Right. So like that's where the vibes is coming from.
I thought that the vibes were clean.
So you got to be around those people. You got to distance yourself from the people who drain your energy. And then like you said, you got to be around those people that like spark your energy up, where it's just like, all right, yo, I gotta get my shit together. Yeah. And
but to our callers, she's in a unique position because she was one of them. She was one of them. And she's admittingly was one of them. And she was able to will herself, along with our help, out of it and achieve all these things that she is achieving, which is congratulations to her. She's killing it. But I think she should at least try to have conversations with her friends or this friend group and see if she could convince them to do or follow the path that she followed that allowed her to get out of this funk. Some people are unhelpable though, and you need to be okay with that.
That's so true. And honestly, like, can we get a copy of the Masters so we could put it in?
Yeah, we'll put it up here.
We'll hang it up because we got a part of that.
Put up the diploma, yeah.
That's number one. And number two, like you said, but the thing is, it's difficult to have those conversations because she had the gift of self-awareness to be like, okay, like I need to change this, right? And like you said, some people, they're not helpable. You're gonna have to like develop tough skin, where it's just like the people who the people in that friends group who don't want to like change, who are just happy playing that victim mentality, you're gonna have to be okay leaving them where they are. Right. And then you're gonna have to be okay with them talking bad on you. You know, because that's we know that's a symptom of it too. Like,
misery loves company.
Misery loves company.
People who are miserable, excuse me, and I'm speaking generally, I'm not saying this about everyone, but people who are miserable and who aren't happy with where their life is, they don't generally like to see people succeed.
They don't.
Who were failing how they were feeling.
Exactly.
So that might cause friction. Not everyone, maybe you have a good group. Not everyone is like this, but generally speaking, a lot of people are like this.
And then, you know what, you could come at it from a compassion standpoint too, of like, yo, what's up? Like, just let them air it out. And then sometimes too, when they actually like let out their grievances, you can figure out like, oh, okay, so then, because maybe they might have other people in their family too that's holding them down. Like they don't have that thought process of I can climb up. You know?
In my 30s, I mean, I agree, but I think in my 30s, and I'm generally an empathetic person, but in my 30s, it's hard for me to have that like type of empathy or compassion with people, which is like,
you don't got time,
I had them in your 20s, I had it in your 20s, but if you in your mid 30s, you pushing 40 or in your 40s, we got to get it together, baby.
You don't have time.
That compassion time is, if you grew up with trauma, your mom used to smack you in the mouth on Thanksgiving, and your dad used to kick you in the head on Christmas and tell you that was the gift. I get it. That's traumatic. But you 40 years old, you should have saw a therapist, baby. What are we doing? You're 40 years old.
They got telehealth.
You still blaming it on your upbringing?
They got telehealth, you know? They got all these different options for you.
Get a therapist.
Yo, we might have to go get like like Judge Judy or something, bro. Because we give it like, this sounds like therapy right here, B.
I mean, these people, I run into these people who, you know, you invite them to a party and they get drunk, they call the bartender the N-word, and then they take a piss on the table, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, it's because I grew up in foster care. And you're like, okay, but I understand that. I have empathy towards that, but you're 46 years old. Bro. Maybe you should go see a therapist.
And this is a tangent, but in the same vein of like, first of all, you kick ass. You've been kicking ass for what, 5, 6, 10 years, right? But even like Johan, me and Johan was talking after the last episode, and I was telling him my struggles with what I was going through, whatever. He was just like, yeah, you know, I was in that same boat, but I stopped and I started running and I started doing this. I'm like, damn, like I'm surrounded by killers. I can't feel bad for myself. You know what I did the next day?
What's that?
Not a damn thing, but I got running. I thought about it.
Yeah, that's what's important.
I thought about it, and that was the most important.
Yeah, thinking about it, honestly, is almost better than doing the shit,
it's
to be honest.
Yeah. It's a step.
Yeah, thinking about it is definitely a step in the right direction.
It's a step. I bought some Brooks.
Look, we all, I've had episodes. Listen, if you listen to the Adulthood pod, we had volumes where I've spoke about me being, me feeling disenfranchised about stuff, and me feeling like I was down and out, and me feeling like I couldn't achieve the thing. That's part of it. But I always get up and get after it. Bro. I always do. Even if I take a week of being down, even if I take 2 weeks, I'm always back after it. I'm back in the gym now. I can't walk right now.
Bro.
I can't walk. I almost came here in a wheelchair because I did legs 3 days ago.
There you go. And I feel like, honestly, like that's honestly a part of like having that championship mindset when you really think about it, because of how many things you're doing and the fact that you go through that. Because I was in a similar boat where it's just like, man, I can't figure it out. You know, like I know I'm dead nice and I know I'm doing this and I know I'm doing that. Well, I can't figure it out. But you can't stop. You gotta go through it. And then the next day it's just like, all right, boom. All right, I'm gonna figure it out. Boom, 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 boom. This is what I got to do different. This is what I got to do different. Right. This is what I got to do different. Right. This is what I got to add. But most importantly, this is what I have to remove.
That is the thing. People put too much focus on achieving whatever the goal is that you want to achieve. But the work is done when you sit down and you figure that out. What am I doing wrong? What do I need to do better? What do I need to stop doing? And you achieve those things. That's the work. The work is not you at the end achieving, getting your master's. The work was when you sat down and you decided, hey, I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go do these things. That was the work. Bro. That is the work that you need to do. That as humans, that is the work. People get too focused on like what the ending goal is.
And you have to break it down into steps.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to break it down into steps. And sometimes it's as simple as that. And what am I doing wrong? What should I stop doing? What do I need to do better?
Bro, and sometimes
3 questions.
That shit be harder than the actual like end goal, because you got to figure out, like, you got to tailor make your success plan for yourself. And at the end of the day, you can't base it off of anybody else, because then you're going to be falling into a different loops and like comparing yourself. And honestly, it's just like, yo, I just stay consistent for 2 days. Yeah. That 2 days turns into 7 days. Right. And the next thing you know, you got a month. Like, I quit weed cold turkey, bro. Mm-hmm. And like that, I was using it because of anxiety and all of this stuff that's popular now. But it was just like, it's no longer serving me, bro. Right. And like, that's what you got to get to with your friend group, is like, and it's not about serving each other, but it's honestly like, yo, is your energy, are you pouring into me or are you draining me?
Right. I mean, I don't know her group of friends, but from that call, I think we could deduce exactly what they are doing, because it seems like she's on a trajectory that her current friends group is not on. Mm-hmm. But again, to be fair, everybody has their own path. So I don't know her friends group. I don't want to disqualify them as, career losers. Yeah. I think that maybe they're going through that low path. Yeah. And it's her role to uplift them. But I think you should know your friend group. And especially once you into your 30s, you know people for a couple years. I think you have an idea of who's helpable and who's not.
That's a fact.
I think Like,
that's
I think,
a big fact.
You've been friends for 20 years, and it's been the same thing for 20 years. I think like, all right, I've outgrown this. We've outgrown each other.
If it's always somebody else holding you down, if somebody else, if the blame is always on someone else, then like, all right, I got to leave you right there.
Right. I also think it's important, because I do this a lot, and I think I've got messages from adulterers who say they enjoy this. I also think it's important to listen to people who have achieved certain things. Speak about it and tell you how it's not easy, how it's hard, and they still feel the same insecurities. Yeah. They still feel the same things that you feel. Somebody who may look at me as somebody who's relatively successful in the field that I've decided to embark on. If you talk about the Tonight Shows, the HBOs, those things are great, but that doesn't make me, like, I'm not walking around like all jolly all the time. Like, I'm feeling the same thing that everyone else is feeling. Yeah. The feelings of inadequacy, the feeling of imposter syndrome, all those things.
Like a big
And it's part of it. It's part of it. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I find that podcasts have helped a lot, because people are speaking about this, and you get to hear it from people that you respect.
Yeah. And you know what? Another thing too, and this is, I don't know if we're segueing out, but like a very important aspect also is to have someone to call you out on your shit. Yeah. And like, that's been a very big help for me, because in those moments where it's just like, I can feel myself being complaining and whining, and like, those people who I hold in high regard and that like are my mentors, they're like, what are you talking about?
Right. I'm that guy. That's not a good guy to be. People usually hate you and they don't invite you to Friendsgivings.
Until they get their masters. And then
until they achieve something, they don't see what you're talking about. So I think it's definitely important to have people who call you on your shit. Yeah. And I think it's also important to have people who remind you who you are. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you forget who you are. Yeah. Sometimes in the grand scheme of life, things get tough. Couple things line up that ain't good for you, and it gets you in a low place. You forget who you are. Yeah. And sometimes you need that group of friends or that one person or that family member to sit down and really remind you, like, come on, like, you do this. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. And then as quick as that, you be like, oh yeah, I am. What am I doing?
You're right.
I am about this. I'm about this life. What am I talking about?
What's funny is that I had to like remind one of my homeboys about this, like literally the other day. Yeah. And I'm texting him every day, yo, you good? You all right? Because he's going through whatever he's going through. Life. He's going through life, right? And like, but then he's starting to spiral in a way that like, you have too much responsibility for you to spiral out. You know what I mean? Like you said, when you hang around with killers, they have their own companies, they're doing their own things, and he's one of these people, but he's going through a spiral. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, I get that you're in a funk or whatever, and like, take your time, but you can't mess up everything that you work so hard to build. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, go through it. I'll give you a week. But after that, don't call me unless you're in the gym. Don't call me unless you did your reading. Don't call me unless you acquired another deal, because outside of that, then I don't want to hear it. Because as responsible as you are to build everything that you did, you also responsible for destroying that. And I'm not going to play no part in the destruction.
Right. If I could make an analogy, and I love analogies, I put it like this. sometimes like I'm a big fan of boxing, and you watch boxing, and I always like to see when the boxer, in between rounds, when the boxer goes to the corner, what you hear the cornermen telling. That's very fascinating. And I think that is a very exemplary way of looking at life.
Yes.
What the boxer tells them, what the cut man tells them. Sometimes you see a boxer go through a tough round, and this is an analogy for life. You might see a round where they're getting beat up. They might have been knocked down twice, and he comes back to the corner, and the corner man, if he's a good coach, he's not giving them some new blueprint, some new thing that they got to do. Sometimes it's as simple as him just reminding them who he is. Like, yo, you keep doing this. Why you keep doing this? You got the right hook. And you a right hook. This is what you came up with, was throwing the right hook. When you get back in there, throw the right hook. Stop not throwing the right hook. You letting everything take you, the distraction, the cameras, the flashes, even getting punched in the face and getting knocked down, you letting it distract you from who you are. Sometimes that's all the trainer says. Go back in there and throw your right hook. You have the best right hook. And that's an analogy for life. Sometimes you let it knock you down and you forget that you have a right hook.
Bro.
Get back in there, start hooking them.
Swing that right hook.
And you'll see how life changes for you.
And I feel like
message.
I feel like you hit it right on the head too of the distractions. I feel like you said, social media is a double-edged sword, and like it has a lot of negative aspects, but then it also has those aspects where you get to hear Ian Lara, special taping on December 21st.
Yeah.
Hearing him say, yo, limit those distractions. You know what I mean? Distractions come in so many different forms. Like, honestly, I don't have like no notifications on my phone outside of my work email. Right?
I don't even have that on.
You gotta cut out the distractions. You gotta find me
where you find me.
There you go. What is that? Apple, right?
I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't know where I'm gonna be.
iCloud, you know the vaults, and cut out the distractions and just get to it.
Yeah, no, for a fact. And this is an interesting conversation because she was mentioning it as in the format of the group of friends. But have you ever run into this where it's your partner who's this?
I was the partner.
Who
I was dragging it down. My girl's over there kicking ass, and I'm over here all fat and sloppy and feeling sad.
I mean, I don't necessarily believe that. I think that some people just hold themselves to a higher standard.
That's what it is.
So you start to believe that you are, but if you look at it objectively, it's like, okay, just because you've gained 10 pounds doesn't mean that that you're a piece of shit.
I'm just saying, I was the one where I was in a funk. I had so many different things on the plate, and it was just like I was trying to achieve everything at the same time, and like I was like in a negative space. And she called me out on my shit. She was just like, "Yo, this ain't you, B."
Yeah.
You know, that's how we talk. Yeah, just got me the Peloton. Like, you getting big, son.
Yeah.
You popping out of your shoes, B. That's not you. That's how she talked to me.
Your feet was getting fat.
Feet is fat feet.
Yeah.
So I had to do up downs, lose some feet weight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she
that's a good partner.
She pulled me out the funk.
That's what a partner's supposed to do.
She pulled me out the funk.
That's what a partner's supposed to do. Yep. I've had this situation where like I generally, and I'm not gonna pretend that like I'm like I'm not, what is the name of that motivated David Dawkins?
Goggins.
David Goggins. I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. to run 26 miles before I go to work.
No.
I'm not saying I'm that.
Yeah.
But I've had partners in the past tell me that maybe they felt that I was too stringent or standards were too high. Life standards, not like, and not nothing like physical or whatever. Like life standards were too high in what I expected from myself and what I expected from the people around me, and that I should lower or conform to my standards.
No.
But I stopped that right in the thing. I'm like, we don't do that.
No.
Like, this is what it is.
No.
We're trying to be elite here. Like, I'm battling. You think I don't want to just get rid of all my standards and just be a slob that does nothing? But I can't even listen to this type of talk. If you want to be with me, we got to be great. And that's me and you, and that's our kids. And that doesn't mean, like I said earlier, that doesn't mean you can't come to the corner banged up. And I'm not going to patch you up and make sure you're good before you get back out there. But you're not coming to the corner and I'm like, we should throw in the towel. No, we got to get after it. We got to do the things.
Yeah, you have to.
And if you find a partner that you feel is going to maybe bring you down, you gotta either have a talk with them and let them, because a lot of times you can have a talk and they'll understand and they'll be like, you're right. But if you have the talk and they don't see it your way, then I don't think that's the person for you, because life is going to get hard. And if you lower your standards, when life gets hard for you, which it inevitably will, what are you going to do when your partner is going to be like, oh yeah, lower your standards even more?
It always gets hard. There's no going back.
You need to have motivators, and motivators are like trainers, and they're not easy people.
They're not
gonna tiptoe around you. They're not gonna like, good ones are not gonna, they're gonna call you on your shit.
And like you said, the people to remind you of who you are, because you set the standards.
Right.
If you came in and you set the standards and now you yourself aren't living to the standards that you set, you need those people to be like, hold on, fam.
Right.
What you talking about?
Plus, I think, and send us an email or voicemail if you disagree with this as a woman. I really want to hear this as a woman. If you're listening to this podcast right now, please, you don't have to say your name. You don't have to say nothing. Just call in, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. And if I'm right, tell me I'm right. Like, I honestly believe this. I honestly believe that regardless of how stringent or strict a man is with how he carries his life, women are inherently attracted to that. I don't think women like men with low standards that don't do nothing.
1,000.
No matter what your career field is, no matter what you do, women like men who get after it. Women like men who have that elite mentality. They don't want to be with like a sucker.
Elite janitor, B.
And it don't matter what you do.
It don't matter.
If you're a janitor, you the elite janitor. Whatever you are, they want you to be at the top.
Janitor number one.
Like, we're no longer, running around as hunters and gatherers. We're not running around in the woods killing animals, but that doesn't mean that you have to take that mentality out of the picture. And I don't mean that you need to come in here as the janitor and you start, climbing the things and shooting arrows while I'm trying to do the podcast.
No.
I'm just saying the mentality of we get after it over here.
That's it.
Women are attracted to that. And correct me if I'm wrong. You could call in 347-378-9423.
That was great. That was a great segment.
We got one more, right?
Yeah. Real quick though on
yeah, let's do it.
We could be like the hood Judge Judy, but for therapy, B. That's what I'm thinking about.
This kind of relates to what you guys are talking about. I totally so I went out with this girl again like on Friday, and
is she a listener?
No. she's from Europe. But
Europe?
Bonjour.
Yeah, she's
what part?
French.
That
she's
matters. French.
Yeah.
Bienvenue.
But so the first time I went out with her, she was here in New York for like 2 months, like 2.5 months. And, in my eyes, I'm like, damn, like, for somebody to just like come to vacation in New York for 2.5 months. Like,
yeah, Europeans do this. Europeans don't necessarily believe in hard work.
It's called holiday.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll take like 1.5 years off and come for vacation.
Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, like you got to be able to afford it, obviously, obviously. But, then I went out there once, and then she went back to Europe, and she's came back for like a couple weeks, just not that long ago. And I went out with her again. And when we went out the first time, she had told me that she was going back for school because she was starting school. And so I was like, all right, cool. Like, this next time when she comes back and we hang out, I'm gonna ask her how school is going. When she came back, we went out again. And before I could even ask her about like school or whatever, she was talking about how she had just gotten back from Berlin, and how she was in Berlin for like 2 weeks.
These Europeans, they don't believe in work or school or money.
Yeah. So literally, I was like, in my head, I'm like, all right, well, I guess like, how are you doing school? Like, I'm like connecting all these dots. And then she tells me how like before that, she was in Sweden, like doing a job for her cousin.
Yeah.
And that's where she lives. She lives in Sweden right now. But yeah, I was asking her about the job or whatever. She said it was like she was doing marketing for like her cousin's company.
Right.
She does like a private event. She has like a private event company. And you know how like when you just kind of like feel like somebody is like kind of like lying or like just not really telling all the truth, or they're just kind of like coming up with stuff on the fly.
Well, Europeans are liars.
Right. So, I mean, this is the first time I've encountered like going out with the European or of any sorts. So, as the night goes on, she starts like kind of getting a little more open and whatnot. And she starts telling me how basically let me guess.
She's being sex trafficked.
She's on her OnlyFans.
Oh, no. Sorry. I'm just thinking of all the European movies I've seen.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And that's always it.
Yeah.
but she was saying how like basically she doesn't like need to worry about money because she comes from like a very rich family.
Here it is.
Yeah, and she like finally laid it out. And this was kind of like my idea. Yeah, okay. Where I was like, she probably comes from money. She doesn't need to work. Like she's in New York, like, you know, vacationing every other month type shit. And, you know, as the night went on, she's kind of started just like, again, like money? Playing victim. No, I wish. But she started like playing the victim too. Like how like some of her other friends that she has in Europe, like always kind of like make her feel bad, right? That she like doesn't like have to like work for anything or whatever. And she was kind of just also like playing the victim type shit.
How so? How?
Because just saying how like people always try to make her feel bad and like how she like can't connect with anyone because they don't know, they can't relate to her, and she like
they can't afford the things she can afford.
Right.
Yeah.
She can't.
It's hard to relate to people when you're a billionaire.
Right. Yeah. And I was just like, I mean, I didn't really know what to tell her type shit. I was like,
no, I dated a girl from Europe one time, and
was she rich?
And she came from money also.
Oh yeah,
she came from money also. Yeah, and
Paris Hilton,
and they have that. I think she's American.
Oh,
but that was a fair guess.
Paris,
yeah. But she was like that too, where she would just take 3 months off and go live in Australia. And you're like, and then as a New Yorker, like I'm a kid from Queens. I'm like, what are you doing in Australia? And she's like, you know, I'm just here. I'm like, what I don't get, you're just here. I've never just been anywhere.
Right.
You know, even when I go on vacation, I'm working, you know, so that is a different thing of the culture over there. And if you're European and listen to this, obviously everything I was saying, you know, I was joking, whatever. You got to say that now. You don't understand sense of humor. But anyways, the rich thing though, I don't know if that's excuses, because I think that is her reality.
Yeah, that's what I was telling her too. Like that's what that's the one thing where I was kind of telling her. I was like, well, there, you know, like if that's how you feel, you know, and that's like, you know, that's your reality. You can't really have, like, you couldn't change. You didn't ask to live this life. I told her, you know, like you were just kind of born into it. Like,
now, did you ask, because I'll ask this, did you ask, how rich are we talking? Because there's levels.
There is.
No, I didn't.
I think that's a fair question.
That's a great question.
I mean, if for you to come vacation for 2 months in New York and be able to afford a $2,500,
you don't need to be that rich to do that. As like, you don't need to have that rich of a dad to do that.
And
like if your dad makes $500,000 a year, you can do that, and that doesn't make you that rich. There's a difference between $500K a year and your dad is worth $500 million.
Yeah.
Because if your dad is worth $500 million and you've had me paying for our dates, now we're gonna have to fight.
There's a problem.
I mean, let's just put it like this: she doesn't work. So it's like she's 23 years old.
Nice.
And she doesn't work. It's like, so like, I mean, that's a level, you know, where she's able to get.
She works part-time.
I don't think she does. Like,
yeah,
I think she was
trying to make you feel good?
I think she was just trying to make conversation.
Does she want to work?
See that, like, we were at like a show, so it wasn't much like talking, you know, like this is before we went to like go to a couple of drinks, you know. But
how expensive was her outfit?
I mean, bro, when we started getting like a little like tipsy, she started like asking me about like what my favorite like designer brands were, and I'm like, bro, I don't.
And you're so poor, you don't even know.
I was like,
would you say Converse?
Yeah, H&M.
Literally, I was like, that's a hard question. She's like, that's an easy answer.
Nike?
I'm like, yeah,
what did
maybe
she
for
say?
you.
What is hers?
Yeah,
it's like a pause. It's like Cox or something. COX.
See, I'm too poor to even know what that is.
Know what that is.
I mean,
okay.
Like a different level.
She's at a different.
Yeah, she showed me the like what I had searched up the website just to like look it up, and there's like button-up shirts that are like $350.
Yeah,
I'm like. Like the plain white button-up shirts.
To be fair, Europeans, a lot of the high fashion stuff does come from over there.
That's true.
So a lot of them do. It's not. I don't think it's the same as in the States.
Yes.
Like a lot of them, they all have like Louis bags. They all have Gucci bags.
Yes.
But that's where it's comes from.
That's where it's made.
Like Yeah, the headquarters.
They don't got to pay
there.
taxes.
So they're more connected to it. Like we're here, it might be like a sign of wealth. Over there, like a janitor will have like a Louis bag.
That's a fact.
Because they buy it.
Yeah.
But where are you? Like it's nice. Like what do you have a problem with this?
No, see, that was my thing. I guess it was just like we've had fun both times going out. Like I'm not tripping about it. I was just kind of like, I guess I just had some like a question basically on like how do you live? How is that like? Yeah,
because 23. Because you're thinking from a hardworking perspective,
right.
like 23 years old, bro. I'm eating ramen noodles. You going away for 3 months.
Right.
So it's not making sense in your mind.
But
Right?
does she want to spend money on you?
I mean, she stays offering to pay for everything. That's the thing. That's one thing. Yeah.
Have you asked what do her parents do?
Nah, see,
Not
I
yet.
don't know. I don't. Nah, we've only been on like twice. So I don't know if it was like.
I feel like that's a
appropriate.
question I would have asked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably see her again before she leaves.
Yeah. No, look, first of all, she's 23, so I guess I do have the empathy and the grace for those people.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I don't have grace. I don't have grace or empathy if you're like 40 and you haven't got the help that you need to get.
Yeah.
But at 23, there's room for error, right? You have room to like grow and room to learn.
Yeah.
And I think it's more, I don't really care what you're doing at 23. I'm more concerned with what your mentality is. Like, because you can be worth 0 at 23, but if you have like a go-getter mentality, I'll believe that you will achieve something and you will go do the things. But if at 23 she's like, yeah, I'm probably never gonna work my entire life, then I'm gonna be like, okay, well, how much are you worth? If she said she's worth $500 million, I'll be like, oh yeah, I mean, that's fine.
You shouldn't.
Yeah,
Your parents, they did a great job.
We'll start like running, like giving money to soup kitchens and be a philanthropist or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't seem good. Like she's going to. I mean, just from like this last time I hung out with her, like there was this, we were at the venue and she had left her phone upstairs. Mm-hmm. I think at this point she was like,
tipsy.
Yeah. So she was like,
I'll buy a new one
type shit. She was like, it's fine. She's like, this is why I like love iPhones type shit. She's like, I'll just buy a new one if it's not a backup.
What kind of phone did she have? The 16 and she's going to get a new 16?
I mean,
sometimes rich people try to pull a fast one on you. They'll have like the iPhone 8 and make you think that they're humble as they get out of their Rolls Royce. They're like, I don't even care about phones, and they'll have the 8. But I think the lower phone you got for rich people, the more money they got.
That's a fact. And then honestly, I respect her too, because I've heard that like, certain levels of wealth, they kind of really don't even want you to know where they're at. So like they might pretend and like that, what is it, Cox? That might be like high end, but like that's not really high. Yeah, COX.
COX, yeah.
But then
I thought that was like a cable company or a phone company.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm so not in her tax bracket.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so she might be touching some real paper, bro. And the only reason why I say that is because I was flying back, or I think I was flying to Arizona for a work event, and I was in the lounge, and like, I wasn't even air hustling. I was sitting down, and there was an older couple talking to a dude. And he was talking about how, he owns this company and he just left this company. He's working with another company. He just went to a retreat and he was at the retreat and like, he was just like, oh, like we're rich, poor. And comparing himself to the people he was around where they're like on a different echelon. He was just like, our measly 5,000 square foot house compared to their estate.
I'm so poor, I don't know what a square foot is. So if you say 5,000 square foot house, my mind can't even, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so it's just like a lot of square footage. Okay. Yeah. So I'm like, damn. So she could be in that upper echelon where, she wearing $1,000.
Honestly, I don't even remember if that was like, that's what the brand was called. I just remember it started with like a C and like, it ended with like an X or something. I don't even remember. I literally searched it up like, and then I like just saw the prices and I swiped.
You should ask her. Ask her what it is. Text her.
The brand.
Yeah. We'll look into this brand. Let's make this a 2-parter. Let's end this and we'll keep talking on. And you guys come back next week and you'll get it on next week's episode. But we'll make this a 2-parter. All right. Adulthood Podcast, volume 86. Thank you for listening. This is part 1. We'll do a part 2.
Come back soon.